There's a massive difference between being funny and being offensive. We have seen this debate before when we talked about the slappening earlier this year. Some scholars even say true comedians study the art and perform at comedy clubs.
Now let's get one thing out of the way immediately, folks. Def Duty likes to call himself a comedian, but everybody knows he's not really a comedian. He doesn't know what a joke sounds like. He's never been inside a comedy club.
I just took it.
But when I really think about it myself, the difference between something being funny or offensive really is whether or not your audience is on Twitter. So allow me to give you an unnecessary amount of context for this drama. The Quartering and Keffels got into a bit of a Twitter debate, if you want to call it that, and they are both on opposite ends of the political spectrum. And Keffels is very vocal about her position as a trans advocate, and the Quartering being the most ridiculous right-wing SJW you will ever meet, both of them measuring their dicks and seeing who got the W. All you need to know about them is that they're both fat and ugly, and I would not have sex with either one of them. But at some point, ratioing Jeremy on Twitter did not suffice for Keffels, so she started calling out sponsorships and, effectively fucking with somebody's income, which is, by the way, a big no-no on this platform. You should not try to ever deplatform somebody or go for their sponsors. It's just considered bad etiquette and it will make everybody hate you. So, in came Ricky Berwick, who said basically that, look, yeah, Jeremy can be cringe and yeah, you probably might even get a dunk on him, but please don't go after sponsors, that is too much. Now, this is considered criticism, right? And even in a joking form. So a lot of people would take this laugh and be like, oh yeah, resident cripple stepped in, our local reply guy is here with the message, blah blah blah. But Keffels and team did not respond well to this. Mainly because there's not a lot you can say back, because I think that Ricky Berwick has more victim points, but I'm not really sure how you measure it on that woke scale. Either way, what they did is they dug through Ricky's history and found out that he is the owner of an NFT done by a creator called StoneToss. And because we live in a world of guilty by association, that must mean that Ricky endorses Nazism. Yes, you heard that correctly. Ricky Berwick endorses an extremist political view because he has an NFT from somebody who also allegedly only supports an extreme ideology. And of course, the fans of Keffels went after Ricky Berwick for this, in which Ricky unfortunately had to, bend the knee and disavow all the things that StoneToss has ever done, even though are not the same person, thus cannot be held accountable for each other's actions unless they blatantly endorse it. Anyway, Ricky disavowed, and this made people a little bit uncomfortable because a lot of people are saying, well, StoneToss is not a Nazi. StoneToss is a comedian, a pretty open and vocal comedian. So, in came our fucking trans queen warrior in commentary, fucking Jaylen herself. Yes, she's back on Twitter. Fun fact, a lot of us didn't know until now. And she decided that it was her time to shine, that she's gonna drop the receipts, she's gonna show the world that StoneToss is in fact a fucking bigot and should be hated, or I don't know, at least she didn't advocate for deplatforming, but there's a lot of heated discussion surrounding this. And yeah, this is where we are, and it is possibly as dumb as you can imagine, but I will leave links for the aforementioned dramas in the description if you do care. But by far the most pointless and ridiculous discussion point has been reached, which means it is time for some true thoughts and opinions. Before I get too deep into it, please remember not to send anybody hate, harassment, and bullying. Please do not deplatform, go after sponsors, all the gay shit that we hate to see. Okay, let's go. So if you're quite new to this channel, you might not be aware of who Jaylen is or why you should care. Usually there shouldn't be a lot of reason to care about this specific YouTuber because they're kind of on the outskirts of stuff that I cover. This is a Minecraft YouTuber who covers like Dream SMP, that kind of stuff, right? But also at the same time, this is one of the most edgy people in the sphere based on the stuff that they tweet, plus the size of their platform. So you know it gets reach, right? But then also being a highly outspoken trans advocate and absolutely throwing it in somebody's face when they are acting bigoted in any kind of way. So those two things happen simultaneously. And Worst of all, this person is not only a Kiffle's fan, but a Kiffle simp, and there is little we can do to rectify that situation. So the major reason why Jaylen has gotten a lot of heat and a lot of criticism is based on their behavior on Twitter. They would often call out people and be exactly in the same position, unironically, less than a week, even at that, sometimes a couple of days, or even hours apart from the controversy that they're trying to call out, right? So basically, essentially being a hypocrite, which would be fine, but to a delusional point. And it got to a certain extent where Jaylen had to be confronted face to face with the shit that she posts on Twitter while advocating that people should not be bigoted, hateful, and mean. Damn, that is spicy. A lot of people tweet like this or use Discord in this way, and they tend to keep this very consistent energy where they don't call out other people for doing exactly that, so they don't get in as much shit. And they have a fan base who supports it, yada yada yada. But Jaylen's fan base seems to be highly removed from Twitter and what Jaylen does and other controversies that Jaylen gets in. They just don't care about that drama. They care about the drama that Jaylen herself covers. So she's never seen any big fall from grace after being in any of these controversies. It's just fucking weird. That's kind of the thing. It's just fucking weird. And we never know which Jaylen we're gonna get. StoneToss, on the opposite end of this argument, is a very successful cartoonist and political satirist. Clearly on the right wing. I mean, you can deny it all you like. This is clearly somebody who advocates for right-wing conservative political views. And they have even appeared on the Kill Stream with Ethan Ralph and Dick Masterson. And just a side note, something really hilarious, Ethan Ralph tweeted out when it was going to happen, this drawing that StoneToss made for it, but if we look at the Ethan Ralph character, it literally has moobs. So I mean, that should count some points towards StoneToss, even if you don't like the guy. That's fucking hilarious. And StoneToss is not new to controversy. StoneToss is always in some controversy. I mentioned earlier that NFTs were involved. I mean, need I say more? Crypto bros, you know? And of course, beyond that, all the typical right-wing extreme criticisms also need apply here. Stuff like anti-Semitism, Holocaust denying, anti-woke moral agenda. But it has to be said that StoneToss is actually almost always pretty fucking funny. So at the peak of the aforementioned drama, Jaylen, who woke up blue-pilled on the 14th of July 2022, decided to drop a video on the reasons why she hates StoneToss.
StoneToss guy is not a very good guy, and a lot of people in the commentary community have just defended him blindly because they like edgy humor, and I like edgy humor too.
In this video, Jaylen reacted to some of StoneToss, let's call them edgier comics, to show that StoneToss is factually, undeniably, logically a Holocaust denier, a racist, and then claiming that it's a joke when they say something that's anti-leftist, but then it's totally valid and correct and not a joke when advocating for positions held by the right wing on the same fucking topics. Some people's immediate reaction was to say, well, StoneToss is a satirist, a cartoonist, a joker. He's a funny guy. Why do you not catch the joke? Why aren't you laughing with us? And Jaylen decided to drop this tweet. StoneToss just makes edgy jokes. Okay, then what are these? Alright, let's look at this bigoted content. Okay, now the thing about these tweets are, at face value, they're objectively bad. They are. Look at this one. This one, I mean, this one I can give the most. I can see where StoneToss would come from objectively, saying that there are less than savory characters hiding amongst the LGBT community, and they are proud to be there, right? This seems like the actual Pride event with a bunch of flags. But then we get into more suspicious comics. I'll let you decide. You can pause if you'd like to read it. It's all on the website. So Jaylen essentially said, look, even if it's edgy, how do you justify all of this? I ain't laughing, and neither should you. So initially when this video dropped, not a lot of people on Jaylen's actual YouTube account cared because, like I said earlier, they don't really care about the drama that Jaylen gets involved in or anything like that. They care about Minecraft and Dream SMP. Come on, Jaylen, this is why we subbed. But anyway, the people who do care are all on Twitter because it's a real place now. And people decided that they agree with Jaylen on this take. A lot of people did. And so they decided to dig up even more stuff. So they found a comic, for example, like this one, which advocates for or which showcase anti-Semitic viewpoints from StoneToss. And then, of course, this one, which also shows the denial and the racism of historic events. And also people like Vosh further explained the argument as to why StoneToss is just a piece of shit and basically dog whistling to a bunch of Nazis.
So if you are completely politically unaware, if you literally have like no idea what the fuck is going on in politics these days, what this looks like, this just looks like this doesn't mean anything to you. This is a phenomenal dog whistle. We have a problem in lefty sort of iconography, in our comics, in the delivery of our media. We have a problem with being preachy. One of the ways in which StoneToss is remarkably good at what he does is that he is not even remotely preachy.
This outrage from Jaylen was also supported by another YouTuber, Willie Mac Show, who says, I don't blame Ricky for not knowing StoneToss' background and just wanting to have an NFT of him for the meme, but probably not someone people should work with unless StoneToss has some great explanations for these gems. Like, are they fake or something? And then even more examples. Some comics who are a little bit too based for the normie audience. And this was deemed morally cringe by the wider community, and it was very well liked and well received. So of course, after doing the Lord's work and digging through years and years of readily available and highly criticized comics, Jaylen has effectively proven that StoneToss is a bigot, anti-trans, racist, Holocaust denier, doesn't keep the fucking jokes light enough, and is too politically involved to be unbiased and just a straight up comedian and should be taken seriously. And now we get into some serious pot kettles type of shit if I've ever seen it. Because as I mentioned earlier, Jaylen has this fucking habit of not committing to his side wholeheartedly, or, you know, rules for me and not for thee. So, StoneToss, having an equally big cult and following, also decided to go digging in Jaylen's past and discover why this pro-Kiffles trans advocate is so deeply disturbed that they would want to harm poor little StoneToss. And well...
Are you just left to your own devices as far as everything you say? You have nobody tard wrangling you or like, saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't say this, or maybe you should try to be funnier when you say this and avoid this, or...
No, not really.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Well, if there's one thing we know about bigots, it's that they truly are loyal to whatever it is that they believe. And they chose StoneToss. So that means that it was very, very easy for StoneToss to just simply ask his audience, please give me receipts on why Jaylen is the worst person out there and why I will get the Twitter W in the end. So the first tweet dropped when the karma hits, with a bunch of attachments. Here's Jaylen saying, honestly, how do people justify StoneToss literally being a Nazi? The punchline to a lot of his jokes is literally anti-Semitism. And then Polish response, girl, don't you make jokes about gassing Jews too? And then Jaylen's like, yeah, but that's just being edgy. Another drop from the Discord from a creator called Zero. Well, I mean, I feel like you can tell all the gamer words and how prominently they are there. But if you're struggling to read, I'll just say that they are part of the homophobic side and, well, the N-word, like a lot. The N-word is there, it's a lot. And then, of course, Jaylen responded, wiped my Twitter, basically yeeting everything because Jaylen figured out at this point that everything they have ever posted will be dug up by the StoneToss fans. And they are more committed than Jaylen's fans to this drama, so that's an inevitable ratio that Jaylen chose. wrong idea. So wipe their whole Twitter. We know from past experiences this is their MO. And saying that she'll be back on Thursday. This was a lie. She still posted, and she's gonna try and use Twitter less. This is also very typical. And then Dogger Sock screaming in response, because you got exposed for saying the N-word, Lamau. And this was all collectively memed by this fucking dog. Yes, because you see, Jaylen had to quit Twitter after being slightly inconvenienced by their own actions. Yes, so StoneToss knows what it's like to get cancelled, and Jaylen knows what it's like to be a little bitch. But the Twitter thread did not end there. StoneToss continued to say, if you guys have any other examples of Jaylen tweets, unhinged neo-Nazism and hate speech, please send it my way. We cannot permit their bigotry to do real, actual harm to people. Black lives matter. What? Jaylen threatened to have a fan fired from their job after openly calling them the N-word? How is this acceptable? And then, attached, it gets worse.
Fuck you, nigger. Never said nigger in my life.
Nigger. I think the messaging is pretty clear in that one. And then we got this one, which was just pushing like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Jew fag. I like Hitler. He's pretty cool. He's a cool guy. Fucking Jew. Hitler did nothing wrong. I killed one.
Why is Jaylen tweets allowed to literally call for violence against Muslim Jews? And then attached this Discord. You can stop and read it. I ain't getting the soundbite. And then another one, once again. And remember that Jaylen has already said prior that they make edgy jokes. They're openly edgy. The edgy is a part of their descriptive pronouns. Edgy is true and it's funny. But StoneToss is not edgy. StoneToss is merely a dog whistle. StoneToss really wants to incite violence and really wants to turn their audience alt-right, destroy the peaceful, harmonious Twitter landscape as we know it. I may have employed humor to make transgressive jokes, as is the societal duty of any editorial cartoonist, but Jaylen tweets naked calls to violence, use of slurs, and attempts to fire people from their jobs for exposing it as no punchline or place in our society. Of course, unlike Jaylen tweets, I disavow Nazism. Yes, check my about, link in bio. Meanwhile, Jaylen literally proclaims Hitler did nothing wrong. Sickening. Currently, Jaylen tweets bigotry and calls for violence is getting exposed on stream.
Very serious. This is my serious admiration of Hitler. I support Hitler. Probably shouldn't have done. I support Hitler, guys. Totally real, 100%. Hitler's a great guy. I love him. I love what he did. Except for the part where he killed Hitler. You know, that was bad.
I mean, what more is there to say, am I right? Great stream. Sadly for Jaylen tweets, no amount of calling me a Nazi, which I deny, link in bio, can excuse their bigotry and actual calls to violence. My about page clearly explains my use of humor and edginess. Meanwhile, all Jaylen does is run and hide. Indefensible. Still running and hiding, Jaylen's Twitter @changed to commentary Jaylen after attempting damage control with the stream. The stream immediately goes private after getting eaten alive in chat. So in other words, this means that when Jaylen said, StoneToss, you are a racist, anti-Semitic, Holocaust-denying, unfunny, politically driven cartoonist and you are no comedian, StoneToss responded and said, no, you. Cringe. Now, we've already established that Jaylen is actually bitch made and therefore doesn't have the stuff necessary to take this criticism and respond in a productive, meaningful, and enlightened way. Instead, Jaylen is going to double down, which is exactly what we expected, right? So initially, Jaylen said, okay, I am leaving Twitter. I acknowledge that I have been ratioed. I have attempted to block everybody who follows StoneToss. And some examples of this was the tweet coping, and I genuinely enjoyed this. Jaylen, currently in New York, who knew, says, I will die on this hill of StoneToss being a Nazi. I don't care how hypocritical I look. If I have to go down with him, then so be it. Yes. Fucking yes. I live. StoneToss is really trying to cancel me for edgy jokes when he's literally a racist. Jaylen is just a social experiment. Anything offensive Jaylen says is actually a massive psyop meant to confuse and disarm the masses. So as we can see here, there is an attempt at humor, and I'll say this, I laughed. But what I found most interesting is two people who claim to be edgy, who has a brand of being edgy, have tried to out-woke moralist each other, which is in itself pretty fucking bitch made of a move. I think instead they should have tried to outbase each other, right? Imagine if you tried to get the other person to rage quit Twitter by just simply owning them and getting the W's and being the funnier and most based of the two. I think that should be the real duel, am I right? It's not like either one of them can say or do anything worse than they've already done. Like, what are they gonna do? Is StoneToss gonna be even more of a dog whistle? Is Jaylen gonna be even more unhinged? Please. It's like they barely even tried. But the reason why I think anybody should care is because this drama started out by something seemingly serious and really politically motivated. You know, the quartering and Keffels really both feel, at least they pretend to feel really strongly about their specific grifts. And, you know, they're telling us that we should really care, because if we don't ratio the right person, we will be damned for all eternity, and people will dig up our tweets and we will be cancelled, right? And it's very scary. You never know when you're gonna get cancelled over the next 20 years. You never ever know. But what I saw when it trickled down to all the way to fucking Jaylen rage quitting Twitter and changing her handle for things that she's already publicly said, and that she even said after her old tweets were dug up, as if she's any little bit of surprised, I learned that you're allowed to say and do anything that you want if you are funny. So, I'm just a Thot with an opinion, and luckily I'm funny as fuck. Pila. I mentioned in the beginning that Twitter determines who is the real comedians amongst the edgelords. And well, I know who won.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.